Welcome to It's Been How Long? The podcast about Cherry Hill High School East students from the late 1970s and early 80s. This is Kara Siegel. I'd like to welcome in Scott Hartkopf to the It's Been How Long podcast studio this morning. Good morning, Scott. How are you?
Good morning, Kara. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Got my coffee. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, thanks for agreeing to be on the podcast. So, as we always start, here we are, 44 years post graduation. So, what are you up to these days?
Well, we can start with I live in Cherry Hill and in Waretown at the shore. So I have two houses.
Okay.
Our house in Cherry Hill is right across the street from the Cherry Hill West football field entrance.
Oh, wow.
So we're in the west side, and all our kids went to Cherry Hill West. None of them went to East.
Okay.
Uh, I'm married to Beth Russell, who is an alumni of ours, class of 80. She
Hmm.
did not want to be on the podcast, so that's fine. Um, I have two children of my own, and she has four.
Oh,
And then we have four grandchildren.
oh, very nice.
She has two, and I have two, but they're the same thing.
Yeah.
We've been married for 5 years. We've been together for 24 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
we went to Vegas in 2019, I guess. And we said, why don't we get married while we're here? Because, there was not reason to do it, but we said, why don't we do it? We went to Little White Wedding Chapel and got married.
That's
So,
great.
that's where I got to where I am here.
Oh, how cool. So, did you guys know each other back at East?
We did. We rode the same bus. When I rode the bus, I didn't ride the bus on junior or senior year. I rode with friends or I drove. Um, but
Which
we knew
development were you in?
Barclay Farms.
Okay.
She grew up on Crescent Road, right
Hmm.
across from Johnson School,
Yeah.
and I grew up behind her. So her house backed up to the Deegans,
Oh,
Greg
okay.
Deegan,
Yeah, yeah.
and my house was on Barcroft Drive. I mean, there was so many people. There were like 50 kids on Barcroft Drive from the top of the hill to the bottom.
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, Bob Moore, Linda Moore, Rick Diamond, the Neptunes,
Oh, wow.
Chris Marks,
Yeah.
you know, and going down Mark Juarez, who's one of my best friends now, but he's in California.
Okay.
The Rittenhouses, Leslie, Jenny, and Karen. But
Wow.
there were like so many people, and I'm in touch with most of them, not
Oh,
all of
that's
them.
great. That's
Some,
great.
here or there.
All right.
So,
What keeps you busy?
so I guess I should probably with in. I've had 3 strokes,
Oh, okay.
and I retired after having my last stroke. So this I had a stroke, and they're saying that it was caused by Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Disney World. But
Oh,
I flew
wow.
home from Disney World, and I had a stroke like Halloween, like coming up a few years ago. And then they cleaned out my carotid artery, and I had another one. And I just said, "That's it. I don't have any reason that I want to work." But I started a handyman business,
Okay.
and I really haven't worked that much over the summer until now, but all of a sudden I'm very busy.
Okay.
Uh, so that's what I'm doing.
What did you retire from?
I was director of field operations for a commercial construction company, Big
Okay.
Sky Enterprises. And before that, Paroxysma Group, Hesser Construction, and K. Hovnanian. And before that, I was self employed in the same business. And then I don't know if anybody remembers, but in high school, Michael Anderson and I did lawns together.
Okay.
And we each had 3 lawns. We decided to start doing them together. By the time we graduated high school, we were cutting like 80 lawns a week.
Wow.
And it was called MASH Lawn Service, Mike Anderson, Scott Hartkopf. And we
Okay.
used to tow a car. We got to the point where we had a truck, but we used to tow a little trailer behind our cars and go around doing lawns. We both graduated college,
Hmm.
and we both looked at each other and said, "We were making 3 times as much money before than we are now." and we both went back into the landscaping business separately. And I guess I got tired of satisfying 100 and some customers a week, every week, and everybody calling, I want my lawn done before the weekend, but it rained all week and this, that, and everything else. And basically, he took over my customers, and I started what's called Hartkopf Homes and Improvements, which was a remodeling company. And, I did remodeling. I built a few homes. I built my parents' home at the shore. They're no
Oh,
longer with
nice.
us,
Oh,
but, you know, I built their home and I built a couple other homes and that stuff. And then I went to work for Kahavnanian Homes in Pennsylvania. And then through that, when I retired, I worked for Big Sky. And I built a lot of big buildings. I mean, we built a lot of churches:
hmm.
Fellowship Alliance Chapel, Marlton Assembly of God, Victory in Christ, Our Lady Queen of Peace. I mean, there's
Wow.
probably 10 churches I built, and a lot of medical, dental offices, and things like that. Launch
That's great.
Trampoline Park, Kids
Very
Empire,
cool.
Philadelphia. So it was good, but I'm glad. And I periodically do work for my previous employer. Like, I have to do a job in November for them. So,
Mhm.
we're still close. I caulked his mother's bathroom the other day, but so
Yeah.
we're still close. We're like family, but I'm not doing it anymore. So
Yeah. You do it when you want.
exactly. And I was doing a lot of work on our shore house over the summer, and I just really didn't do a whole lot of other jobs. A couple days a week is fine, but what I have lined up right now is going to be every day for the next like 6 weeks, and
Okay.
it's just a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I'm doing it. So I
So,
did Brian Lane's bathroom
oh,
or
did you?
patio. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
like it's last winter around Christmas.
Oh, very cool. So do you have time to do anything fun?
I do. Obviously, from what we talked about before, I like to travel, but down the shore, I fish as much as I can.
Oh, that's hence
Our house
your
is on a
email.
lagoon.
Bay Fisher something, right? Bay
Yes,
Fisherman?
the New Jersey Bay Fisher and New Jersey Bay Fisher One at
Yeah.
Comcast, because we have Comcast at the shore and we have Verizon here. I fish as much as I can. I like to work around the house. I do photography here and there,
Okay.
and like I said, we try and get away now at least every 6 months on a major trip, and then like a driving trip in between here and there.
Nice.
So
What was your last major trip?
we went to Alaska last month.
Wonderful.
We went to Vancouver, British Columbia, and spent 3 days there. And then we got on a cruise ship and went up the coast of Alaska to Seward. And when we got off the ship, we rented a car and stayed in Anchorage for 3 more days. So we were gone 15 days total. Um, they said it would rain every day on the cruise. It never rained the whole time on the cruise, but it rained in Anchorage.
Okay.
And the least favorite part of the trip was Anchorage. It's a city,
Mm.
and it's just okay. But Vancouver was beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were
Nice.
filming, I don't know if anybody's seen it, but The Last of Us is a TV series
Okay.
on we watched on HBO. They
Hmm.
were filming that in Vancouver when we were there, and the
Uh-huh.
whole city streets were decorated or made up like an apocalypse, and
Oh,
wrecked
wow.
cars. And when we drove in, Beth said, "What's with all the wrecked cars? Is it a ghetto?" And now something's going on. So the next day, they start filming, and I got my pictures. I walk right past the security guard, and they finally said, "Are you with the film crew?" I said, "No, get out of here." I got a few pictures.
That's
But we had a
great.
really good time. We've been on a few cruises. I took the whole family, or all Beth's kids
Hmm.
and the grandkids, on a cruise in for Easter.
Hmm.
So 9 of us went on a cruise, and
Where was that to?
it was Western Caribbean, Cozumel,
Oh, nice.
Costa Maya, things like that, Roatan,
Wow.
and previously we went on a cruise, Eastern Caribbean. So what I've got coming up is we're going to Europe for 3 weeks in May.
Nice. Where?
I hope to see Rob Thurston. I
Yeah.
already talked to him and made plans, but hopefully it'll work out.
Yeah.
We're going to London, and then we're going to Paris, Lucerne, and then all through Italy, and we wind up in Rome,
Oh,
and then
wow.
fly home from Rome. And then we've got a cruise scheduled for next about a year from now. We'll probably be on the cruise right now,
Oh, okay.
going from New York north to Bar Harbor to Halifax, St. John's Bay. And then we got another one planned for February of 26. And we're working on planning one to the Mediterranean.
Oh, nice.
It might be August of 26 because Beth's daughter, her oldest daughter, and the grandchildren want to come.
Okay.
And she doesn't want to go when they're in school. I would prefer to go October,
Yeah.
September when the boat's less crowded and all
Yeah.
that, but so
Yeah.
be it. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Um, do I was looking in the yearbook. Did you do any activities back at East?
So freshman year and I guess sophomore year, I did band
Okay.
and I did a side thing for extra credit for instrument repair.
Oh, wow.
And I forget Joe Leonard and somebody else was on that with me, or in that with me.
Yeah.
I didn't do a whole lot of activities. I was in the jazz band called Eclat,
Yeah.
and I did that for longer. I was in
Did you
jazz
play
band one.
trumpet or
I played
trombone?
saxophone in jazz
Saxophone.
band
Okay.
one. I played guitar in Eclat or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
And I guess I did that longer than freshman and sophomore. I really didn't do anything senior year.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Because
you
you had
know,
a business you were running.
I did, and so most of my friends that are close friends
Yeah.
graduated in '79, and there's a ton
Okay.
of them.
Okay. Okay.
And most of the girls I was friends with were younger by a year.
Okay.
So my first wife, Debbie Hillal,
Mm-hmm.
she graduated in '81
Okay.
behind us, and like I said, we have two kids. My youngest daughter is severely handicapped. She is
Hmm.
now, I think she's 31,
Mm-hmm.
and she's a 6-month-old in a 31-year-old body, and
Oh.
it's very tough. We have nurses, and take
Mm-hmm.
care of her. She lives with my ex-wife,
Yeah.
and in I guess Mantua, they have a
Mm-hmm.
house in Mantua, and I probably never would have gotten divorced if that didn't happen. But it just
Mm-hmm.
nothing went well during that whole situation.
I'm sorry.
So it's fine.
Mm.
It, when something like that happens, you spend a few years trying to fix it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you realize you can't fix it, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's how do we deal with it and how do we live with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor said you never make 10 years old, but here she is 31 years later,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she's still here. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
so
So after graduation from East, you mentioned you went to college. Where'd you go?
I went to Rowan, like a lot of other
Oh,
people from East. Um, I graduated from Rowan after 5 years because I kind of slowed down at the end. I remember telling my mom I didn't want to finish, and she threw a shoe at me. So I finally finished, and took 5 years. A lot of people at Rowan took the 5-year plan because you couldn't get the classes you wanted
no, okay.
when you needed it. So a lot of us went to Rowan. I didn't do any further education other
Mhm.
than
What was your
like
degree?
I have a degree in business administration and
Okay.
small business management,
Mm-hmm.
and a minor or whatever you would call it in computer science.
Oh, okay.
But computer science, we typed, what do you call it, cards,
Yeah.
and had to run the cards through
Yeah.
and then you wait for the computer to spit the cards out,
Yeah.
find all the errors,
Yeah.
like Cobalt and things like that, but
Yeah.
nothing applicable to today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So was there a class at East or a teacher that influenced you beyond your high school days?
not so much in high school. I mean, I
Mhm.
knew a lot of the teachers. Um, I know Kathy Carpenter. I've done work on her house and things like that.
Yeah.
Uh, I think his name was Terry Bear. Was the guy who ran the Eclat
Okay. Yeah, I
band.
was gonna say that's not. It was one of the band
I
teachers.
like
Yeah.
him. My guitar teacher for years wound up teaching at East our junior and senior year, so he was there. But not a whole lot of people that I remember. I have one from college who I absolutely loved,
Yeah.
but his
Yeah.
name was Harry Cuthbertson, and he was a Ford executive,
Hmm.
and he taught night school. And I
Okay.
found out going to night school was so much better than going during the day because these part-time teachers would come in and really have real world knowledge
Right.
of how things worked. Like I had the president of the Philadelphia Stock Exchange for
Oh
an
wow.
investment class,
Oh
and I don't
wow.
remember his name, but
Yeah.
you know, things like that. And I just found it was a lot better. And because we were working, I finished the last couple of years mostly in the evenings,
Yeah.
and it worked out fine.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. So, did you have a high school sweetheart? Was your first wife was your high school sweetheart, or?
My first wife was not really my high school sweetheart.
Okay.
Leslie Rittenhouse, I'm still in touch with her. She lives in Florida,
Hmm.
um, and her parents live in Florida. That was my high school sweetheart. I did date my ex-wife once in high school, and it didn't really go well. And then I started dating her in college,
Hmm.
and it went well.
Yeah.
And I guess we got married. I think the year we graduated, so it was like '86.
Hmm.
Um, I finished school in '85, but I finished in the winter,
Yeah.
so graduation wasn't until the spring.
I gotcha.
And then I believe we got married then after that, and we lived in Earlton off of
Okay.
Route 70 behind
Yeah.
Earlton Liquors was there, and we lived in a house, and then we bought a property across the street. The woman that lived there passed away, and I said to her son, I said, I want the house. And he said, okay, this is what I want for it. I said, fine, no problem. We could settle next week if you want. And he was in there fixing like washers for a faucet. But the faucets were the old faucets. You had hot and a cold, two different
Yeah.
spigots. And I'm like, Kenny, just stop.
Yeah.
There won't be anything left.
Yeah.
Believe me. And we built a big garage and a big house. And, then I got divorced. She lived in the house for a little while. And then it had an elevator. We put an elevator in it for my daughter.
Yeah.
And finally, sold that. And I guess I moved to Maple Shade for a little while,
Hmm.
and then we moved here. And then when I sold the Maple Shade house, we wound up buying the house at the shore. And I don't remember; it's 10 years ago, I think now. So I
Oh
think
wow.
we had it for 10 years.
Nice. Nice.
So my brother Glenn,
Hmm.
he lives now 3 blocks from me and 3 lagoons from me at the shore.
Oh.
But he only has one house now. He used to live in Downs Farms,
Oh, okay.
Hillside Drive. Incidentally, that's where I'm working today, across the street from where he used to live. And that he didn't live there when Glenn did, but
Oh, okay.
so he lives there.
All right. So, were you tight with anybody that you lost touch with? We've been able to connect a few people. Just
Not really. I
mm.
So Facebook has
Yeah.
really opened up opportunities or the ability to stay in touch with people.
Yeah.
So I stay in touch with people, through Facebook, but there are people that I are closer with. And again, most of my friends were class of 79.
Hmm.
My best friends were Mike Anderson, who was my partner, and he went to college with me too. We both went there, and then Mark Juarez is one of my best friends, but he lives in California now, in
Right.
Sacramento, and we see each other maybe once a year,
Okay.
which, but we talk.
Yeah.
His birthday is Halloween, mischief night, so I got to
Okay.
call him coming up. But I stayed in touch with a lot of people, but then there are a lot of people that I got back in touch with and I chat with more than I would have if
Right.
that didn't exist.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
It has provided a real connection.
it
Uh,
has.
yeah. Do you have a standout memory from high school? Could be, around that time, doesn't have to actually be in class or just something that sticks with you to this day.
I don't know. I used to drive like an idiot. I know that. And
Okay.
going around the back of the school,
Yeah.
things like that. I had auto shop class there and
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. And it really it made me comfortable. Like we have a car, and I just went out and I had to take the intake manifold off and fix it. And it's a 2021. It's it got a check engine light. It's
Yeah.
not old,
Yeah.
but it made me more comfortable doing things like that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it was. I'm not sure what the specific memory is.
Yeah. But
So,
that's definitely something that's stuck with you.
and I have not been back since my nephew, who's in his 30s now, he went to East,
Oh, okay.
and I might have gone to a basketball game or something with him, but I haven't been back in
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Anything you wish classmates knew about you back then or now?
No, I don't. I don't think so. I mean, not really.
Okay. All right. So we're back in 1980. You're looking down the road. Is this where you saw yourself?
Not completely, but close.
Okay.
I like I said, we were doing the landscaping and lawns back then, and I kind of got tired of that. But it's probably pretty close to where I saw myself. I mean, growing up, we had always had a house at the shore. My
Okay.
parents bought a house in 1972 in Lavalette, which is north of Seaside Heights. And then my father and we put additions on, but my father and I tore the house down and I built the house that's there with him. Together, we built it in 1996. And, we had it for a number of years. So I've always been a shore person, but I've not always been a beach person. I
Okay.
can't go and sit on the beach all day. I'll
You
go
can
up in
go
the
and
morning
fish.
and fish. I will. And I'll sit for a couple hours and then I wind up going and working on the house or
Yeah.
doing something else. And
Yeah.
going on the boat. We had a boat for years and all
Oh,
that.
nice.
So that's, more like what I do. And that's kind of what I do now. I have two boats in my backyard, one big one and one medium one.
Hmm.
And then my stepson Kevin has a boat that we keep in. Our neighborhood has a marina
Okay.
associated with the homeowners association.
Hmm.
So he rents a slip from them. It's dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And my big boat's out of the water, so his boat moved to my house.
Okay.
So there's still two boats at my house. But
All
I,
right.
I fish as much as I can, and I've been doing that for as long as I remember. I had a friend when we moved to Lavalette, he was 30. I
Hmm.
was 10.
Oh, wow.
And he took me under his wing and he would take me fishing every day. And I find that amazing. His name is Tommy.
Hmm.
And for a 30-year-old to take a kid fishing every day and pal around with them, and I thought that was unusual, and he did it. He lived across the street. He still lives across the street, but he's not doing real well. I guess is in his
80. Yeah.
80s,
Yeah.
and he has like emphysema,
Mm.
and I haven't seen him other than here and there, but he's
Hmm.
never at the shore anymore. His house sits empty.
Wow. Yeah.
It's I'm not sure what'll happen, whether his daughter Lisa will take it
Hmm.
or what. So
Yeah. So did you enjoy high school?
I did. I have a lot of good memories of high school. Um, I enjoyed high school more than junior high school, um, but high school was fine the whole
Was that
time.
Heritage?
It was Heritage, yep.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so, but high school was good. I mean, I like I said, junior and senior year, I never took the bus. We used to go to McDonald's for lunch. I mean, most of my friends, like I said, were older than me and
Yeah.
already had their license,
Yeah.
even at the end of sophomore year, or my sophomore year. But I really did enjoy it, and it was a good time.
That's great. Best piece of advice you'd go back and give your 18-year-old self, or maybe you gave your 18-year-old kids.
I'm not really sure, but be confident. I
Hmm.
mean, confidence goes a long way. When I get into something, I'm very confident about it. And I don't hesitate. I'm not sure what advice I would give myself though.
Yeah.
Not drive so fast, but it really didn't get me in trouble. But in high school, I was known as the neighborhood terror. I
Oh,
remember Rick Diamond's parents coming out one night when I was racing the car up and down the street or whatever and yelling at me, whatever.
what'd you drive?
Ah, first car was a Mustang convertible. That was before I even had my license, and yes, I drove it here and there. And then I got um, a old beat up Firebird convertible,
Okay.
and it was finally kind of fixed up. Not great by the time I graduated. I had it through high school. I drove a 442 here and there, and that was my graduation present from high school
Hmm.
because I was going to commute to Rowan. And my parents said, if you're going to commute, we'll give you the car. We don't have to pay tuition and all that. So,
Yeah.
or room and board.
Yeah.
Um, so that was good. But I've had a lot of cars over the years.
Yeah.
I remember I had two Corvettes at the same time during, I guess it was college. I had a
Nice.
78 Indy pace car and a 74 I bought from a neighbor. It had 9,000 miles on it.
Oh, wow.
And I looking back, my parents' car sat outside and my two cars were in the garage. But so be it. And like I said, I had a lot of nice cars here and there. I still do. I have a 911 Porsche,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
a convertible. It's
Nice.
down the shore right now,
Yeah.
and I know Brian Lane has a Porsche. He's
Yeah.
big into that.
Yeah.
Um, but I've always had a toy, you know.
Yeah. That's great. That's great.
And other than that, we have four total because I have a pickup truck,
Hmm.
and then I got my wife a car, I guess in the spring, and I bought her lease out just so I would have it back up or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're fine there.
Yeah. So we've reached our fast and furious finish here. So did you have a favorite TV show or a favorite movie or a favorite book from back around high school time?
I don't remember what high school time was, but
Yeah.
um,
So like I looked it up. So like TV shows back in 79, 80, Three's Company, MASH, Dallas.
not Dallas. I've never
Okay.
watched an episode of Dallas. I
Yeah.
don't know why, but I was not into that. But MASH, all that Emergency, I remember
Yeah.
being on. Um,
Yeah.
Chips,
Yeah. Yeah.
things. A lot
Yeah.
of TV shows back then.
Yep.
I
Yep.
I recently stumbled across some YouTube videos on the Adams Family and the Munsters,
Yeah.
and was watching, the history of that, and I watched
Yeah.
all of them. I
Yeah.
did not, I was not a big Saturday Night Live fan. I
Okay.
really never watched much of that here and there.
Yeah.
I wasn't into Monty Python that much. I mean, a
Hmm.
lot of people were. Like Chris Marks was so into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you know, but I was never into that.
Yeah. So did you have a favorite musical group, artist, or genre? And here's where I'm gonna plug Reggie and Heaven's Edge and Reggie.
So, if you
Reggie
want
got
to
me
plug
this cool
Heaven's Edge, nice.
cool shirt. Yep.
So
Yep.
I saw Reggie. between having my stroke on Halloween a couple years ago
Hmm.
to having the operation, I saw him at the venue in Philadelphia, bowling, something bowl,
Okay.
and I saw him there. I enjoyed it very much. I have every album he has ever, made.
Oh,
I
that's
listen
great.
to it in the car. In the Porsche, it's the CD is in the thing, and I pretty much just hit that all the time.
Oh, that's
So
great.
I like that. I mean, bands that I liked range from Genesis to even softer stuff.
Hmm.
Steve Miller Band, Air Supply
Yeah.
used to be different things. Cat Stevens, I listen to all the
Oh, yeah.
time
Yeah.
now. But there was so many back then that I listened to, relentlessly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. So, did you have a favorite place to hang out with friends or to eat with friends? I mean,
Sea
you
Wing,
mentioned what's
I
that?
didn't hang out at Sea Wing.
No.
I walked through Sea Wing,
Yeah.
but I didn't hang out at Sea Wing. Um, I would say the first one was the coastline.
Hmm.
And I know I was in high school and I was underage,
Yeah.
getting in there. So that would have been probably senior year because
Hmm.
the other guys I was friends with all would have been in college that year.
Yeah.
Um, that was the biggest hangout, I guess. McDonald's on Route 70, we all went
Sure.
for lunch all the time.
Yeah.
Um, Not sure, remember where else I hung out.
Yeah.
Down the shore, we were down the shore all the time. All of
Yeah.
us, a bunch of kids would come down the shore and hang out with us at my parents and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
And
All right.
I remember the big thing. So Mike Anderson and myself, we were into cars, fixing cars, working on cars. I remember carrying an engine block into Michael's basement, and he starts laughing halfway down the stairs and can't control himself. And
Hmm.
we almost dropped it. But I remember having, cars jacked up in my driveway, his driveway, constantly hanging out, and the whole neighborhood would be together. Um, the only one I know who really took that to the next level is Al James.
Hmm.
Graduated with high school with us, and he still restores Pontiacs.
Oh,
My
okay.
wife has a 49 Ford in our driveway
All
under
right.
a cover, and
Wow.
she wants to restore it, but it'll cost us 50 or 60 grand to restore it, and I can buy one restored for $30,000.
Yeah.
So it says Pop and Jim on the dashboard, and that's what she's attached to because that was her
Pull
father's.
it off the dashboard, put it on the new one.
Exactly. Or just pull the whole dashboard
Yeah.
and put it on the new one.
Yeah.
But I have to take it away to sneak it.
Yeah. She
But
might notice it's missing. All right.
yeah, a
So
little
here
bit
you
of long
are.
hair.
Yeah. That was very 70s for sure.
I was always doing this.
Yep, 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 yep. That's great. Great picture. Um, okay, so penultimate question. Not about the yearbook. What was your first concert and you like where, when?
So I think the first concert was Journey
Okay.
at the Spectrum.
All right. Yeah.
And I'm not positive that was the first one, but there were a bunch of them
Remember what
all
year?
in the same year. But I think that was the first one. We went to JFK Jam. That was
Mm-hmm.
all afternoon. It ended with Genesis.
Yeah.
Elvis Costello.
Oh
I don't
wow.
remember who else was there. It was a lot. I saw Heart in junior or senior year,
Okay.
at the Spectrum. But there were a lot, We used
Yeah.
to go to a lot back then.
That's great. All right. So, lastly, anything you want to tell anyone or everyone from class who might be listening today?
Not really. I mean, I enjoyed doing this, and I would tell people to step up and do it. I mean, I know
Thank
that
you.
Rob Fox, I don't think he's done it. And he was
Yes.
the one that nominated me to do it on Facebook.
Yeah.
So let's go, Rob. And he's, an actor doing the things like that.
Yeah.
So but there's a lot of people that could step up and do it.
Yeah.
It's not painful.
Thank you.
Um,
Trying to make it
I'm
easy.
here in Cherry Hill and at the shore. I've been both places for, forever, but I never really left Cherry Hill other than go to Maple Shade, but that's around the corner.
Yeah.
Um, I'm here. There's a lot of people I've connected with, like through Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
recently, I said Bill Kaiser, Gregory Coulahan, he likes to fish.
Okay.
And I remember one day being out in the boat and taking a picture of the lighthouse, the
Hmm.
Barnegat Lighthouse behind. And I was just there. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But there's so many people, Rob Thurston, I still talk to here and there.
Oh, that's great.
The first band I was ever in was elementary school.
Okay.
And we played at a dance
Oh.
for the elementary school. And
What'd you
it
play?
was, I think, Chris Marks,
Hmm.
Rob Thurston, myself, and somebody else. And then we had a band for a while, Steve Archibald, Bob
Hmm.
Berman,
Yeah.
um, Chris Marks, and that was in high school.
Hmm.
But, I've never done anything like Reggie. And
Yeah.
prior to having the stroke or the last stroke, I played guitar a lot,
Okay.
mostly acoustic.
Hmm.
But I have a problem that I like to acquire things. So I have like 11 guitars.
Oh, wow.
And it's just insane. I don't need them. I need like two.
Yeah.
I have them all hanging here,
Oh.
and I don't play that much anymore.
Hmm.
I can play now. I'm pretty much fine since my stroke.
That's good to hear.
I
Glad to hear
mean,
that.
I had
Yeah.
double vision. I had things like that for a while, and everything is coming back and corrected. So it's
Oh,
good.
that's good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, we hope you stay in good health, and hopefully we'll see you in the spring. I guess aiming for April 26th of 2025 for the reunion, right? Won't be too
Okay.
far a drive for you.
If we do it here, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. Yeah, I
I
think
don't know.
that's the plan.
Do we have plans as to what we're doing or
Yeah,
no?
so sort of loosely formed going to be yeah, around what's the name of that place? Miller's
Kaminsky's?
Pub or something. No, like Miller's Pub or something off of 73. There's a lot of
There's the Miller's Pub on 73. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, a lot of like places, hotels so that people can stay if they're coming into town.
Right. The
So I
loft
think
is right next door.
yeah, so Alan Feldman's working on some plans and yeah, hopefully it should be a lot of
Okay,
fun.
well, I'm sure we'll come to that when
Yeah.
um, we're back from our next the 26 cruise by then. So you
It'll
know
be 25. It'll be in 25 next year.
April of 25. Okay,
April of 25. Yep. And it'll
we
be
don't
our
go away till
45th.
May 27th or May 7th. So
Nope. It'll be
it's good.
before then. Okay,
That's good.
great.
Well, I'm
Excellent.
sure that Beth and I will both be there. And do it. I've been to a couple little things at Kaminsky's, with people that just show
Yeah.
up and
Hmm.
they hear about them at the last minute, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
fine. And,
That's great.
you
I
know,
didn't realize how many of us actually stayed in the greater Cherry Hill area. It's
yeah,
interesting to see.
or, when you say greater, I have a lot of friends. Mike Anderson, Guy Luongo lives in Mantua.
Hmm.
But there's a lot of people in a broader area, but still South Jersey,
Yeah.
even Philadelphia, a
Yeah.
couple people here and there,
Yeah.
you know.
Definitely. Yeah.
So
Well, Scott, thank you so much for doing this morning. I really appreciate it.
you're welcome. And like I
And
said, people got to step up to do it.
yeah, I
Keep
appreciate
it going.
I
All right.
appreciate that. All right, man. Well, you
All
take
right.
care.
All right.
See
You
you
too.
soon.
Thank you. See
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thanks for joining me on It's Been How Long? The podcast about Cherry Hill High School East students from the late 1970s and the early 80s. A shout out to my cousin Brad Corbett, whose podcast We Weren't Friends in High School inspired me to do this podcast and whose advice and encouragement have been so helpful. Thanks also to my husband, Randy Cockdale, who read all the fine print on the podcast hosting website so I wouldn't have to. And thanks to Jeff Lyons, content consultant and guinea pig. and to Deborah Smead, also content consultant. And thank you to all our classmates who are listening in. See you next week.